Rev up your engines!
All right, I read this article. Diesel is going to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because regular diesel is being competed with by biodiesel, the renewable diesel, whatever you want to call it, right? And the guy says, it's going to make it cheaper and cheaper because it adds to the competition, blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to these nonsense of these people that have some kind of idea that, oh, they're making it greener and it really makes a difference, because every year they make 2.6 billion gallons of renewable diesel, they say. 2.6, right? But the world consumes 229 billion gallons of diesel every year. 1%? That's not going to really affect the market. Yet they come up with these ideas. Oh, yes, it's getting green. It's changing everything. It's less than 1% of what's going out there, you know. And nobody knows how renewable it actually is. A lot of this renewable stuff is a bunch of horse manure. They just make up stuff to make it look like it's green when it really isn't. Like carbon trading. Well, I got some woods with trees. People pay me money for my trees so they can pollute them in a coal mine. Whatever, you know. It's unbelievably BS figures. Just like this, the tiny percentage that actually is supposedly renewable biodiesel, whatever you want to call it, right? We use so much energy, it's unbelievable. Anybody thinks it's going to be replaced quickly and cheaply by green stuff, they're out of their minds. Tarek says, should I buy 2024 F-150 V8 or 2024 Nissan Titan? I found two trucks with the same price. What should I buy? Well, in that case, I'd definitely buy the Ford, because they're not going to be making the Titans anymore. Why would you buy a vehicle that they're not making anymore? It doesn't bode well for parts availability, technicians to fix them and stuff. Ford is making F-150 V8s for decades, right? They're going to be around. You can get parts, get them fixed, right? Where Nissan just has given up with the Titan. They're not going to make it anymore. Now, back in the day, if you would have said that 10 years ago, the Nissan Titan V8s are excellent trucks, right? But they never made enough of them. They never sold enough of them, and the Nissan's dropping the whole line. So I would never buy a vehicle that they're not making anymore, especially if you're buying it brand new. It'd be one thing if you're buying one that was a few years old and you don't plan on keeping it forever, but you buy a new truck you want it to last a long time and they're not making them anymore. You definitely want to stick to the Ford. And I like the V8. Don't get the twin turbo 6. They don't hold up as well. Get the V8 and you'd be happier. The Nissan Titan might work okay, but hey, eventually it's going to break and they don't make them anymore, so who knows what the parts will be like 5-10 years down the line. Well, I just read an article. Electric car charger vandalism continues to surge nationwide. People are destroying the charging systems. Now, some of the people cut the cables and then they sell the copper. Some are people that don't like electric cars, obviously, and they're vandalizing. But all I have to say is you have to protect things, right? Well, here's a picture of a typical charging station. It's just sitting there in a parking lot in a corner. Why do you think gas stations have people working there? They could just have credit cards to pay for it, right? But people would vandalize them. Anybody who thinks they can just stick these machines wherever they want, and they're not going to be vandalized. Do you see vending machines sticking in the middle of nowhere? No, because people would vandalize them, break them, steal the stuff that's in them, right? If they want to make an electric car charging infrastructure, they need to have human beings there too, right? Thing is, they're cheap. They don't want to pay a worker to watch them. Right? It's just like the scumbag states that got rid of all the people that worked at toll booths and replaced them with computers and cameras, right? Which cost a fortune, I'm sure, right? But no, we don't have to pay the salaries of the people not collecting money. Hey, they had a job, they had families, they were paying taxes, right? The machines don't have families, they don't pay taxes, right? People think about things in the long run, right? The idea that these fools think they can stick charging stations in the middle of nowhere, back of buildings, parking lots with nobody guarding them, it's just plain stupidity. They're not even realizing what society's like today. You can't just leave things sitting out in the open. You run a business on electricity, you got to have somebody there. They don't want to do that because that would cost them more money. They'd have to have a building for the person to stay in, right? They'd have to pay the people. They don't want to do that. They just would just stick, you can charge your car up there. And it's proven already. This is just the beginning of it, if you ask me. You can't just put something that sells things in the middle of nowhere all by itself. You can put all the security cameras in the world that you want. People are still going to come at night and steal things if there's no humans around to stop them. One thing that I laugh about, these guys say, we're going to have big semi-trucks, they're going to drive themselves without drivers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, people would be robbing those things blind, stealing everything out of them, knocking them out, right? There's got to be people involved. You can't just put something in the middle of nowhere, not have any human watching over it, because then the humans that want to steal things and vandalize things will come and they will have a field day because there's no one to stop them. Well, here's a sad story. The first Neuralink patient, old Elon, and is putting chips in people's brains. His device is losing functionality. It's separating itself. It's sad but true. I mean, look at his cars. They don't work right. They have electric problems, you know? And it's sad that they stuck it in this guy who got in a car wreck and he started to get stuff back, but now it's fading away. As they say, Neuralink admitted some of the threads inserted into his motor cortex started to retract over time. It's sad, but, you know, technology isn't there yet, just like the technology for his electric cars really isn't there yet. They're pushing the electric cars, and old Elon's trying to say that, oh, everyone's going to have chips in their brains soon. Let's hope that doesn't happen soon. I mean, for people that need it, that have something wrong, hey, why not give it a try? I mean, hey, it's better than nothing. He said he was all excited because he could start playing video games and stuff with just his mind because he can't use his arms and legs anymore after the accident. So, you know, it did something for a while, but, you know, it's nowhere near any type of perfection. And who knows if it would even last over time. Things are retracting and maybe your brain rejects it. Who knows? Don't put too much faith into high technology saving everybody anytime in the near future. Well, you can make laws, but if they're not enforced, what good do they do? Well, now they're finding in New York City that mega stores and small e-bike shops are still selling all these unsafe batteries for electric bicycles. They're having a problem with them starting on fire. One guy got killed because the delivery boys below his apartment were charging a bunch of electric bicycles and they started on fire and he died of smoke inhalation. He was above them. Smoke went up, killed him, right? They make a ban, you can't sell these. Well, they are anyway. You make laws that are almost unenforceable, or you don't enforce them. Now, I remember when I was in Houston, they made a law that says you can't throw your oil filters in the garbage, right? So what are you supposed to do with them? Back in the day, when they started this law, even places like AutoZone, they wouldn't take oil filters. They'd take the oil, which they recycled, but they didn't want to have anything to do with the oil filters. Now they do take oil filters because they realize, hey, we're selling oil filters. What are people going to do with it if they can't get rid of it? They're not going to buy them, so they got a plan where they recycle the filters at the store as you bring it to them. So that makes more sense, right? You make a law and it's not enforceable. And back then in Houston, it wasn't. Everybody threw their oil filters in the garbage. I even knew guys who ran garages, and they would put them in dumpsters. They'd have their workers go in and no one looking around at night and throw a bunch of them in a dumpster somewhere. If you're going to make a law, you're going to have something for people to do with what that law covers. In the case, if you're going to make a law you can't throw oil filters away, they should have recycling centers that you can put them into, right? Well, in this case, you're not supposed to be selling these electric batteries, but Amazon's still selling them and sending them to New York City. Stores in New York City are still selling them. How are you going to enforce this stuff? What, you're going to go to Amazon and check every battery they sell for every bicycle that goes to New York City? Because it's only a New York City law, so you can make a law for something. But if it's not enforced or it's pretty much unenforceable, I mean, how are you going to check what Amazon sends to people in a city? You know, come on now. This gets to a point of absurdity. You make these crazy laws, if they're not enforceable, guess what? Nobody's going to pay any attention to them. Well, you might be surprised at how much natural gas comes out of dumps. My old town, Houston, Waste Management is headquarters there. I got Waste Management garbage collection here in Rhode Island, right? They are looking at selling the rights to the natural gas coming out of their garbage dumps for $3 billion. I didn't realize they got that much gas out of those things. Now, Waste Management is using JP Morgan and Chase to try to sell the rights to the gas. They still own the dumps because, of course, they got to dump the garbage. I got to pay $150 every couple of months just to have them take my garbage away. Tiny little bit of garbage that two old people make, right? So they're making a ton of money on that. They're not going to get rid of that cash cow. They just want to sell the rights to the gas to companies because the methane is created by all the stuff rotting, and now they collect it instead of just having it go into the atmosphere. Now, they operate 115 landfills, but I wouldn't have thought they made that much gas, but they claim as of today that they get $150 million of renewable natural gas from the garbage rotting, right? Who has any idea what they actually make on it, you know? If they're trying to sell it for $3 billion, I'm sure they're going to fudge the figures to try to sell stuff to people. I mean, you can't believe business people when it comes to them trying to sell you something. Who knew? They created quite a bit of gas. I see the little things that can collect them, little pipes. I didn't think it was that much. I guess they make a reasonable amount amount of natural gas that you can use, right? So using natural gas, it's cleaner, and two, it's not sending methane to the atmosphere. Who would have thought rotten garbage can be used for something that useful, that much money? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.